Today's rebuild is the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints are in complete football purgatory right now. The old guard is leaving, and their roster is expensive and totally not good enough to go on and win a Super Bowl. So what is a fun way to try to turn things around for the New Orleans Saints? Well, why not take the most hyped college player of all time, a legacy player for the Saints, and see what Archie Manning can do as the face of the Saints franchise? Will he live up to the hype? Or will he crash and burn? Only one way to find out. Over the next 10 years, we're going to see if we can turn this Saints franchise into a dynasty. So we got Derek Carr, quarterback. He's not great. You clicked on this video. You know what our plan is for the quarterback spot. He's here. He's a placeholder. I think Alvin Kamara's still a solid back. Maybe dogging him a little bit with that 83 rating. But, you know, he's a running back, and he's 29 years old, so he's pretty much at his expiry date, unfortunately. Maybe the best player on this team, offense or defense, for the scope of a 10-year rebuild is Chris Olave, who should very well be here for the full 10 years. 24 years old, 86 star dev wide receiver out of Ohio State. He's going to be big time for whoever our quarterback ends up being. I just ran out the offense. I moved Taysom Hill to fullback. He has a gigantic contract that we can't get out of, so to get his rushing production, that it makes him such a weapon in real life. I think fullback's going to be the best spot for him. Juwan Johnson's a solid tight end. Don't know what's going on with Ryan Ramczyk. On top of the rest of the offensive line, we got Ruiz with the dev trade, Eric McCoy with the dev trade pending. We're going to try to develop him at left tackle. But Ramczyk is a big question mark. IRL for the Saints. No one knows if he's going to retire, if he's going to be able to keep on playing. Had a knee injury leaving out of college, think like Jay Ajayi, Todd Gurley. So he wasn't expected to play it into his late 30s. But I think for the sake of this rebuild, he's here. So we're going to utilize him. Big picture, looking at the defense. On the backside, Willie Gay coming over from the Kansas City Chiefs in free agency. Davis, the great veteran. Pete Warner at linebacker. I'm happy with that linebacking core. Got the veteran Honey Badger. We do need an upgrade at strong safety after the Saints released Marcus May. We have Marshawn Lattimore, 92 X Factor. Paulson Adebo got himself a superstar dev. Don't know how or when he got this, but we are not going to be salty. I'm not going to say a goddamn peep about it. I need that. Plus, on top of that, one of my favorite unknown sleeper players in the league. In the slot, Alontae Taylor, better known as the Cookie Monster. Now, here's where I had to get creative on the defensive line, because we got Carl Granderson, 79 with the dev trade, Isaiah Foskey, second-year player, so a young pass rusher. They signed Chase Young from the 49ers on a one-year kind of prove-it deal. We have a lot of depth at edge, so what I had to do was next to Brian Breezy, who I think is also going to be a big-time player for us, a cornerstone of this rebuild, I did kick the veteran Cam Jordan in at D-tackle. Now, he is 290 pounds, which is on the bigger side for a 4-3 defensive end. But the fact of the matter is that primarily for our scheme, I want him as our sub D-tackle, our pass rush D-tackle. And I think if that's his role, rather than base him take up the reps from Isaiah Foskey, Granderson, Chase Young, guys that we need to grow and develop. I just thought simplicity's sake, moving him inside to defensive tackle just should open things up and for the better long-term health and development of the defensive line. So we're getting a little cute there, but I think he will thrive in that role. This is an awkward draft. I'm going to be honest with you. We got Latu, which is easily BPA. We have a logjam as it is at defensive end. And I didn't really have a plan of not trying to re-sign Chase Young, even though he's only here on 1 year. So I think that would be a bad use of our resources. Jazon Newton is a legitimate D-tackle pick there, and we only have short-term on Cam Jordan. I don't hate that selection, but back-to-back first rounds at D-tackle for the Saints, a little bit of a tough sell. Chop Robinson, another top pass rusher. I honestly think going corner might be a value pick because we're going to keep Ryan Ramczyk. I think a lot of popular mocks right now, we are literally a day ahead of the 2024 NFL draft, has the Saints going tackle, but I mean, what do we got at tackle? We wanted to kind of follow that pass. Amarius Mims and Geithner still there, both legitimate first-rounders. But, man, and there's no safety we're taking the first round. I don't know if it's going to show my picks here. Yeah, first, second round's going to have to be where we do our damage. So I'm thinking in that second-round pick, we look at a safety, be it Nubin. I really like Jaden Hicks. Kitchens could be a stud for us as well. So in the first round, you know, you look at our secondary, Adebo hit the dev trait. Lattimore's 28. He's getting out there in age a little bit. But I almost feel like, you know, if I go corner here, then you could kick Alontae Taylor to safety. But where we could just develop Alontae Taylor as our nickel corner. Damn, this is a tough spot to be in, fellas. There's no other way around it. I think Jerzon Newton, maybe, makes sense. I didn't want to show this because it's unrealistic. But they're showing my hand. They're not giving me a board. We got the LSU Louisiana kid. Had to do it. I didn't want to. It's unrealistic. I mean, not unrealistic. There's probably a 5% chance he's there at 14. And sometimes this happens when we do when I do these things. It's just dumb players are still available. Dumb players are still on the board. I don't want to just draft. But this game showed my hand. The board kind of got destroyed. And he makes the most sense. Wide receiver 2. Pushing Rashid to the slot role. Olave Neighbors long term. For the quarterback plans that we have, it should work out. All right, so second round, all in on safety. I mean, technically we could go corner if the safeties don't look the best. And then again, move Alontae Taylor, who's I think a very versatile defensive back. Looking at Cam Kitchens from Miami. Tested terribly, but definitely I enjoy his tape. What I've seen, Caleb Bullock from, what do you call it there, USC. We have Tyler Nubin, who probably had one of the worst combines I've seen since like Orlando Brown. Looked incredibly slow. We have Jaden Hicks, who I think is the top safety in this year's class. And it looks pretty good. I think I'm going to lean towards Jaden Hicks, showing a little bit of bias. Don't know if we'll have a dev trait, but you kind of look at the corners that are available. You got Sage still here. He's absolutely a nickel. Big fan of his game, and we could go Sanders still and use him as slot and move Alontae Taylor to the safety role. I'm just trying to think who is going to have a dev trait between the two. What did Bengal do? I mean, I'll go Hicks. I'll go with the natural safety. Come on, baby. Give me that dev. Give me that. Damn it. I bet you Nubin had a dev trait. So look at our draft recap. Got some great values. Aeneas Smith, wide receiver, more of a weapon. Gadget player at A&M, 95 speed, 95 acceleration. Outstanding value, 73. Normal dev in the 7th round. We'll take that all goddamn day. We got some depth there. Linebacker Chambers, Norzad, the center from Penn State. Abrams Drain, 72 normal dev corner in the 5th round. Great depth. Hicks did not have the dev trait we were looking for, but 74 is not a bad spot. He's going to be a day 1 starter for us, so we'll have an opportunity. Safety is a good position that you can get roles for breakout scenarios in season. On top of the fact that he's going to play a whole lot and put himself in that conversation, hopefully, for Defensive Rookie of the Year, which it is tough to get that as a safety, but we'll try our best. And hey, we just had to make this move, even though it's slightly unrealistic. The draft board, as it fell, forced my hand on the issue. And I mean, you look at where else would we have gone. We're keeping Ryan Ramczyk, so we didn't have to go tackle. Jerzon Newton was probably my next best option, but what if Cam Jordan doesn't retire? I don't want to hinder Brian Breese's development. He needs to play. So then Newton would be D-tackle 3 for the next 2 years, or whenever Cam Jordan retires. The value wasn't really there. Edge rushers, but we're already crowded at that edge rush room. Maybe if we can't re-sign Chase Young, we could look back and regret not getting Latu. Corner, we're fine. We weren't going to reach for a first-round safety. Like, the value really was still at corner, some of those guys that are available. So at the end of the day, the fact that you look at our roster right now, we have Olave clearly wide receiver 1, but wide receiver 2 was Rashid, who's only on a 1-year deal. So, you know, Shaheed is solid, great deep threat, but kind of one-dimensional. Someone like Malik Neighbors, who has elite wide receiver 1 potential. You pair that with Chris Olave, with what we're trying to build here offensively once we move on from Derek Carr. I think we made the right call. So at the midway point of year 1, surprisingly sitting atop the NFC South. We are 4-2. You look at our ranks, pretty good defensively. I mean, Dennis Allen is a defensive head coach. You got them boys playing well. Offensively low, struggling, especially given the fact we got Chris Olave and Malik Neighbors at wide receiver. That passing offense shouldn't be that bad. Come on, Derek Carr. With only $17 million of salary cap, well, in a perfect world, we could re-sign both Chase Young and Paulson Adebo. Slightly more interest in Adebo. So we'll see if we can bring this one. $48.5 million gets that one over the line. Now, what I'm thinking is if the quarterback situation we have goes as planned, maybe we can release Derek Carr, get a bunch of salary cap, and afford to pay Chase Young at the end of the year. It's been, kind of falling back, regressing to the norm, whatever you will, as we fall to 6-7, couple L's. We do get a player of the week performance against the Cowboys. Going to Derek Carr, surprisingly. 3 touchdowns. I mean, he actually hasn't played brutal, hasn't played well, but shout out to him. But that's a classic Derek Carr performance, right? Huh? Finally looks decent, and of course they just still lose. But we have Jaden Hicks, 2nd round pick, which we called it. Rookie safeties. That's one of the hot, spicy, sizzling hot positions that if you're playing a rookie, regardless of dev type, especially normal dev, they might get a scenario. Gonna be tough to do against Philly, but come on, baby. Give me some good news this season. We lose to the Eagles, and we don't get our dev trade. I hate myself. We close on year 1, which, again, given our plan for this rebuild, kind of a burner year anyways. And we finish with a 7-10 record, which I'm not going to lie, given the roster the Saints have, kind of in line. We lose week 18 against the Packers. We do get a player of the week performance in Demario Davis. Very reliable linebacker, almost 20 tackles, a huge performance from him. But usually when your linebacker gets that amount of tackles, you likely aren't on the winning side of the game because he was on the field the whole game. We'll say, interesting enough, in the Defensive Player of the Year shortlist, Willie Gay makes the top 5. That checks out, man. Hell of a year. 135 tackles, 8 TFLs, 5 sacks, 3 picks, doing a little bit of everything. Bunch of tackles for Demario Davis, 8 sacks, 17 TFLs for Chase Young. Still in the plans to re-sign him. Cam Jordan, effective at D-tackle. Breezy was all right, but I mean, everything else. Granderson, Foskey kind of rotating on the other side. Not great interception numbers. Little low as well. Definitely want to see, Marshawn Lattimore didn't get a pick all year. The rookie Hicks didn't get a pick all year. A little disappointing there. We did get ourselves one award winner, and that is Malik Neighbors for Offensive Rookie of the Year. You love to see it. He did a nice season. Didn't go over 1,000 yards, but did have double-digit touchdowns. So all things considered, should be fine for the superstar dev wide receiver who, with that award, might have a chance going up to X Factor. I have my doubts. But shout out Chris Olave for going over 1,000 yards on the rushing standpoint. 1,000 yards for Alvin Kamara. Not bad. We got 6 touchdowns for Taysom Hill, so thriving a little bit in that fullback role. And looking at Derek Carr, 3,500 yards, 26 tuds. The 12 picks is middle of the mall. We did suffer 2 retirements, which are expensive contracts, but, big-time Saint players. Taysom Hill, fan favorite, retires, but that does give us definitely a breath of fresh air for some salary cap. And Cam Jordan retires after 14 years, and honestly, I'm just a little bummed I didn't get to see what his total sacks were for his career, because it's a is he the best defensive player the Saints have ever had? It's a discussion. Shocking, the Super Bowl here in year 1 goes to the Kansas City Chiefs. I, for one, am shocked. That is shocking. So we are going to take a little bit of dead cap, but it is... he does have mentor tag. That's an expensive mentor tag. Nope, we can get a cheaper one. All right, so we picked up the 5th-year option for Chris Olave. It's one of those things I always just assume in Madden. It's just second nature. You just pick up the 5th-year option. But the reality is, a lot of times, man, if you don't pick up that 5th-year option, it doesn't necessarily mean you want that guy to hit the open market. You just, like that $24 million cap it for 1 year. You get a long-term extension next season. Yeah, you give up the 5th-year option, but you're probably going to get him at like 18, 19, 20, and then 24 later in that contract if it's like a 5-6 year deal. But we'll just, for simplicity's sake, pick up the 5th-year option here for Chris Olave. I'm not picking it up for Penning. I might try to resign him. It would be nice to get him on like a really, really cheap deal and continue to try to develop him, because as long as he's a dev trade, still got 3 more years, probably a growth, and if he can hit high 70s, that is serviceable at tackle. I like Rashid Shaheed, but that's a lot of money for a wide receiver 3. I'd rather get one on a rookie contract. Willie Gay thrived in our scheme, and I think, honestly, is worthy of a contract extension just a little bit here. Obviously, we got more than enough money to make it worth his while. But he had a breakout, had an insane season, produced very, very well. So we'll get him back. But the big dog here is Chase Young. And we want him to stay here. Let's get him till he is 30. It's going to be very expensive. We'll go up to 13 and 14 and a half. So we'll give him a 4-year, $110 million. And he still sticks his nose up at it. So congratulations. You're playing on the franchise tag. All right, so going to free agency. D-tackle, tight end, guard. Best tight ends, the one we're let walking? No. Guards look absolutely terrible. Absolutely not what we need whatsoever. I think we look towards the draft. D-tackle. Who can play next to Brian Breezy? Do we have anyone with some upside? We do have a Lynn McNeil, but he is looking for a very, very expensive contract for a player that might not get a dev trait, but he is interested. 14 mil a year, though. That is I'd rather draft one. Honestly, I'd rather go into this draft. We know we're going in the first round. Second round, we go best D tackle and or guard available. Third round, best D tackle and or guard available. Versus paying, if he hits a dev trait, if somehow Lee McNeil comes here and as he turns 26, he's like an 83 star dev, that contract looks pretty good. But you really are gambling on the dev trait to maximize his potential before he starts to reach his ceiling. And that's expensive for a gamble. I don't think it's worth it for us. And with the first pick 10 in the 2025 NFL Draft, with all the top names on the board, the legacy player, which is the belle of the ball for the New Orleans Saints. His grandfather, quarterback of the Saints. A perfect landing spot for maybe the most hyped college recruit ever. There's no way this guy fails. He's coming off probably his best moment in college. Spring game for Texas. He had like 4 touchdowns, 350 yards. The QB controversy is brewing for the Longhorns. Archie Manning, welcome to the NFL. Welcome to the Saints. It's time to bring this team back to glory. We're going to go with the top guard available. That is Tate Ratledge, 6'6", 310 of the University of Georgia. Gigantic human being. Gives you guard tackle flexibility, but he's going to be a day 1 starter for us. Let's go. And coming to tick off all our boxes, 10th pick of the 3rd round. We're immediately just going to grab the best D tackle available. The board still looks pretty good here. I'm going to guess Howard Cross. A little bit better of an interior pass rusher. I think he gives us a good compliment to Brian Brzee. No dev trait, which is unfortunate. But opportunities to get a dev trait, to earn a dev trait, as he's likely going to be a day 1 starter. We're going to go with the top running back available. Just add a little bit of depth. Alvin Kamara's in his final year. And we're going to go with Devin Neal. Very talented running back out of Kansas. No dev trait, though. And with Rashid Shaheed hitting free agency, best wide receivers falling out of the first round. Tez Johnson here out of Oregon brings some great speed to the position. 4.3 speed, elite acceleration, and agility. And I think more than enough juice for that competition for the wide receiver 3 spot. And looking at our draft recap. Oh, maybe not the best. Long way to go here for Arch. Get to that in just a sec. No one in this draft class below a 70. And it's my draft class, my 2025, which is... It's tough to do this, I'll say that. We got the 71 punter, 71 wide receivers, 70 running back, 71 D tackle. All normal devs, but great base ratings. Ratledge, 73 with the hidden dev. At guard's going to be a day 1 starter. And Archie Manning got a ways to go. We weren't going to make him too overpowered because we don't know. We know his potential. No idea what the dev trade is. I have an idea, but it could be 50-50. It could be star, could be better than star. But 71, very humble start here for Archie Manning because he is still such an unknown. And I guess maybe the fact that he's still getting a 71 hidden dev based off of potential and assumptions alone goes to speak to his ceiling. But, Saint fans going to be buzzing about this potential scenario. Somehow, some way, in the future, 2025, well, we'll have in 2025, but 2026, imagine, full circle, the Mannings, quarterback of the Saints, would be pretty cool. And at least today we get to act it out here in Madden. Maybe the most hyped debut in NFL history at the Superdome. It's Archie Manning season. Let's go. First touchdown of many. My goal is over 100 by the end of this 10-year rebuild between Archie Manning and Malik Neighbors. Damn, that's a hell of a battle on the outside. Witherspoon and Malik Neighbors. 3rd and 5. Get the block. Get the block. He is not really a dual threat, but probably the most mobility that a Manning quarterback has ever had. It's too much speed. Too much speed. What a weapon Malik Neighbors is. And is it ever going to be a story if Malik Neighbors on Thursday, tomorrow, goes ahead of Marvin Harrison Jr. in the draft? He could. They're both that damn good. Oh, let's go. Chris Olave. Go ahead, score again. Man-oh-man defense. Please help us out. 3rd and 10, Archie Manning trying his best. Bob Podolski gets the go-ahead score. Can our defense help us out? And they do. And we're getting a dub in Arch Manning's debut game. What a start. Come week 10 of year number 2, and we're in the mix. We are technically last in the division, but we're also technically 1 win behind first place in the division. So we're coming off our week 10 34-31 victory, where we are 1 game behind. 4-5 is not a great record, but we're only 1 game back for first place in the South against a very good Sim Falcons team. Arch Manning, player of the week performance, 3 touchdowns, 350 total yards. Hell of a performance by the kid. And the good news, while we're at this point in time, is that our salary cap is starting to normalize here a little bit. $103 million. We got Alontae Taylor, the cookie monster. I'd like to get him till he's 30, keep him for the remainder of prime, and develop him a little bit. I mean, it's probably going to be the end of the Alvin Kamara era. Likely will be. I mean, that's not brutal for 1 year. Tell you what, if we can get him for just 1 more year, we're not going to draft. Look, he wants more money. You can kiss my ass. We'll take a look at his stats at the end and appreciate everything he's done as a Saint. Penning, I'm not paying that price point, and I did just focus scout tackles for the rookie class, so we're going to kind of prioritize that. And then we got Chase Young, who, you know, we should pay him what he wants. We'll go player friendly. We'll round that up there a little bit to a 4-year, $104 million, and he locks in after playing this season on the franchise tag. All right, the end of year 2. The only thing that's good is our passing offense was top 10, which probably bodes pretty well for Arch Manning, but a second straight season with a below 500 record as we go 8-9. We only had 1 award winner, which was Arch Manning, our offensive rookie of the year. And he had a decent season, top 10 in passing yards, 25 touchdowns, 11 picks. Not bad. You gotta remember, he's a 20-year-old rookie. It was going to be very difficult for him to dominate here in his first season. Now, the good news is out the box, got that gold dev trade, and he went from, what was he, 71, 72. He finishes his rookie campaign as a 77 superstar dev with, there's always an opportunity to get a good dev trait role with that offensive rookie of the year, but I'm going to guess he finishes this year as a superstar dev, which is still outstanding for his growth and development as we go forth for another 9 seasons. Alvin Kamara, under 1,000 yards. Not a brutal season, also not a great year. Damn, Arch Manning with some scrambling numbers as well. And as we're about to let Alvin Kamara go somewhere else, his career here in New Orleans, fantastic. 7,800 yards rushing, 67 rushing touchdowns, to go along with 580 receptions, 4,800 yards, and another 25 touchdowns. Is he the best running back in the history of the New Orleans Saints? Argument could be made. I do love the fact we got 2,000-yard receivers, so both these guys can coexist. Chris Olave, 101 catches, 1,400 yards, 6 touchdowns. Malik Neighbors, 71 catches, 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. Hell, even A.T. Perry getting after it with 730 yards, 5 touchdowns. Not bad numbers from Foster Moreau. Defensively, Willie Gay and Davis, both tackle machines. Davis with 4 picks. Outstanding production. 11 TFLs, 7.5 sacks for Granderson. Cross with 5. 3 from Breeze. 3 from Chase. That's brutal, given the contract we just hand out, and he likely is not going to keep his superstar dev, which is double brutal. But hey, at least the interception numbers are back up for the defense. So going into this offseason, we need a left tackle, we need an Alvin Kamara replacement, we need a tight end, and there could be an argument like a depth linebacker. We're going to go and get one of those pieces in free agency with the prolific, electrifying Keaton Mitchell. 24-78, no dev trait, but I think he could thrive in our system. 96 acceleration, 94 speed. Let's have some fun. I think we can make this guy very, very good. So with pick 15 of the 2026 NFL Draft, we got to go tackle in the first round. We did our homework on the tackles in this year's class. Of course, it's one of those ones where it's, you know, all or nothing. It's either you're getting a first-round pick or nothing. Trying to decide who's going to be the best. We have Caleb Higgins out of Clemson. He has the A pass block, which kind of gets me to go here, but of course, he's one of those guys that doesn't. It kind of has dog shit bench press. Strength is only solid. But the A pass block is looking pretty good. In comparison, Tyner out of Florida. Gigantic frame, 6'7", 320. Elite change of direction. Looks a little bit more upside. I think we go with the right tackle. All things equal, that A pass block looks real juicy. Let's go. You're going to slide on over and be our left tackle. All right, I've been stalling here too much. We're going to grab one of these free corners. 3B, 6'2", Elite acceleration. Oh, no, Dev. That was a panic pick. For the best athlete at linebacker, we need someone to take over for Pete Warner. We got Reggie Stokes here, big-time athlete at LSU, keeping the Louisiana tie strong. Might have waited too long for tight ends, so we're going to go with Trent James as elite strength, great acceleration, good speed, a catch in traffic, but for the most part, a blind pick. Wasn't a great role for tight ends. We'll have to probably prioritize that next year. So looking at our draft recap, got ourselves a stud here. Nice little power back compliment. Hidden Dev, Louisville running back, Zach Merriweather, 6 feet. Obviously not great speed, but that 92 carry, 86 truck, 84 stiff arm, 81 strength. He's going to be a hell of a rotation with Keaton Mitchell. Again, a little bit bummed out with the tight end. We got our 72 linebacker Stokes, 72 corner, normal Dev McKenzie, not great value, but really happy with our tackle. 74 Hidden Dev. Caleb Haggis out of Clemson, going to be our day one starter at left tackle. Pretty cool here from Eric McCoy, wanting to take our first round pick, Caleb Haggis, onto his wing, and as our new left tackle, absolutely need to work on pass pro to keep up Arch Manning and hopefully develop into our franchise tackle for Arch Manning. And with our offense, we're going to go pass block power. I believe our left tackle archetype is just pass protector, so you can't really go wrong with either one of these options. But, you know, you can always add a little bit more strength and conditioning for these young kids making the jump from college to the pros. That's been another shaky start, 2-4. Not hot, but we do a breakout defensive lineman. I'm going to guess it's for Harold Cross. Actually, it's Brian Brzee. Looking to make the jump from a star up to superstar. That would be huge for the former 5-star recruit. Unfortunately, another loss. Do we at least get a silver lining superstar Dev? Let's go! We get a little bit of a... Honestly, I'd take that superstar Dev over in the loss every day of the week, honestly, for this point of the rebuild. It's only year 3. We got plenty of time. We got big bucks, though. $153 million. Plenty of players worth paying with that available money. Up first, we got Honey Badger. Honestly, with this amount of money, I'm down, kind of going with the short term and getting Honey Badger here. 1 year, 18 mil, keeping him here in NO. We're going to throw 2 years, 47 mil at Ryan Ramczyk to ensure he retires a New Orleans Saint. We went 2 years, 14 mil on Cesar Ruiz. 3 years, 54 on Marshawn Lattimore to keep him for the remainder of his prime. I really do want to try to keep Chris Olave and Malik Neighbors here together as long as we can. So 4 years. Ooh, this one could get a little spicy considering Malik Neighbors, as it stands right now, has a higher ceiling with the superstar Dev. Week 15, we got ourselves a trench boost scenario where if we crush it with the rushing yards, we're going to get a big boost. And on top of that, a great twofer as normal Dev Keaton Mitchell, I think, has a lot of potential here in our offense. Has an opportunity to get off his normal Dev to up to a star by getting either 2 touchdowns or 100+ yards from scrimmage. Sounds like light work. Mitchell sitting on 93 yards. Oh my God, could not. Let's break an ankle. Break an ankle. Break. Ah, God damn it. Good tackle by Winfield. But we've gone over 100. We've hit our Dev trait very early. Helps when you're getting a couple 20-yard gashes there at play. Hell yeah. Now, we absolutely crushed the Dev trait scenario for Keaton Mitchell. Hit it in the first quarter. Unfortunately, we did lose the game, but much like when we hit the Brian Brzee superstar Dev, we're early enough in the rebuild. I'll take the growth and Dev trade on some of these guys that could be cornerstone pieces versus wins while we're not going to be really in contention for the playoffs anyway. Close out year 3, still looking to try to make the playoffs, man. 6-11. We coming off a Bucks loss here. The only thing good about our team is our passing offense. Stokes, our rookie linebacker, defensive player of the week, 13 tackles, 2 forced fumbles. Ain't bad. And I guess at least, Arch Manning, Chris Olave, Malik Neighbors are crushing it while we're trying to figure it out. But man, oh man, what happened to the defense? We might need to Dennis Allen. Seat is hot. We only had one award winner here in year 3, and that is Stokes, Defensive Rookie of the Year. This season, he was actually an absolute monster. 141 tackles, 11 TFLs, a sack and a half. Sacks continue to struggle. I mean, that is still an insane season. Brzee, 27 TFLs, 6 sacks. I'll take that. But Chase Young, I mean, I think it might be time to pull the plug on Dennis. I mean, let's be honest. Dennis Allen, not a good coach. Is what it is. The only thing that keeps me content with the rebuild is Olave and Neighbors are absolutely eating yards-wise. Keaton Mitchell, 1,100 yards, 12 touchdowns, not bad. Arch Manning has been almost fringe top 5 in passing yards, has been good, but the touchdowns and interceptions going into his second full season needs a little bit of work. We have another retirement. Again, just somewhat surprising retirements. I haven't been able to like assume that they're going to retire and look at their career stats. Honey Badger calls it quits after 14 seasons. One of my favorite DBs of all time. I was a little bit worried to close out year 3 that a team within our division was going to go win the Super Bowl. Luckily, the Falcons get absolutely blown out by the Jags. Thank you very much, Dougler. We're really at our wits' end here with Olave. He's fucking around. Pardon my French. Luckily, able to get him to the long-term contract extension. Neighbors, I'm not going to pick up the 5th-year option because that is an absurd amount of money. We're going to pay him long-term at a much lower cap hit. And everyone else, thanks so much. We're not going to miss this one. Demario Davis, as we are letting him walk. There's no surprise, no shock retirement. 1,500 tackles, which is insane. 102 TFLs, 42.5 sacks, 7 picks. Salute to you, sir. As we close out the year, as far as dev trades, Merriweather, our 5th-round pick, of course. He's a superstar dev. Of course he is. Because, of course, I was having fun with Mitchell, who's an 81. And then we get a freaking... Let's at least just see. Because, I mean, I'd rather go with Mitchell because he's a real player. No one wants... Hey, fuck it. We'll go with great 1-2 punch in the backfield. On the defensive side, Breezy's up to an X Factor. Stokes winning defensive rookie there goes from star up to a superstar. Unfortunately, Lattimore's regressed a little bit. But Jaden Hicks up to a superstar dev as well. So we go to this offseason. As far as needs, we need a free safety to find a replacement for Honey Badger. Could look for a nickel corner upgrade over Alante Taylor, lost his dev trade. But I think, especially seeing how well the tight end performed in the sim early on, I think a big tight end, either early in the draft or if there's someone in free agency, is definitely going to be worth it for the Saints. And, of course, no one's there. I mean, they do have the super weapon, but we've already gone down that path with Darnell Washington, so I think we're going to swing early in the draft for a tight end. Safeties are also kind of butt cheeks right now. Jagger Brown's an interesting name with the dev trait, but no interest whatsoever, so that means we'd have to overpay. So we're going to rock and roll into this draft in a perfect scenario. A tight end and or safety first, second round. All right, so as we have a top 10, there's good news and bad news. The good news is that there's a safety and tight end that I like. The bad news is that they're both first in their position. So there's no waiting around. We have PJ Love, A hit power, B tackle, A to B zone coverage. So that's as good as gold. First round projection. He's going to be the guy we get in the first round. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. 6'2", 203, first in the 40-yard dash, top 5 of the 3-cone drill at his pro day. For tight end, the best tight end, in my opinion, is going to be the first tight end. And Eric Nails, probably going to fall to the second round. Wasn't in the final mock draft. Likely need to find a way to trade up. Want him as well. 4.53 speed, big-time athlete. So I think what I'm going to do after we make the safety pick, send him to the end of the first round, and if he is still on the board in the second, we trade up from 10. It won't cost a whole lot, but we're going to start with PJ Love, safety, Michigan State, 91 speed, a little slow on acceleration, but at least we got the dev trade. So Nails is still on the board with the Panthers now on the clock at pick 1 in the second round. Let's go get him. I was able to get it for a second this year, a fourth this year, and a third next year to move up 10 spots in the second round, maybe paying a little bit of a divisional rival tax. I'm going to be honest, I thought we would be able to get maybe for a little bit cheaper. But we're able to go get our top target remaining on the board. The best tight end in the draft class, Eric Nails. He looks real good. I'm going to be really bummed if he does not have a dev trade out of Wash. Starts off a nice looking corner here as well. Stephen Beckham, little bummed out, no dev trait, but he is a slot. That's where we want to look to add some competition. And at least he's a big time athlete. That's why we drafted him. But no dev again on a freak-ish type athlete. It's rough. It's harsh. Take a look at our draft recap. Happy with the ratings of our first 3 picks. 75 normal, 74 normal. Nails is going to start. And with how much our tight end I think is going to be used in this offense, might put himself in a great position to be at least in contention for Offensive Rookie of the Year. But very happy with the PJ Love selection. 78 with the hidden dev, a day 1 starter. Kind of looking around the divisions, it hasn't been anything really worth talking about so far to this point, which has been good. No one in the divisions drafted incredibly well. Panthers, not bad, not great. Falcons, pretty decent, getting a 75 tackle at the ascent of the first round. That is a hell of a consolation after losing the Super Bowl 73-73 for guard and defensive tackle, and finishing up with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Very good draft for them as well. 73-75-75. So going into year 4, here's how our team looks. Maybe against my better judgment, I'm going to give Dennis Allen one more season to try and get this right. But the fact of the matter is we have one of the best young quarterbacks, and we are just wasting his rookie contract window. He has one of the best young wide receivers. We have an excellent 1-2 punch here in the backfield. Arguably the best wide receiver, too, in the NFL. He's right in the conversation. We got an exciting young tight end. Dev trade or not, the offensive line is complete. There's no weakness. They got a lot of guys with upside. The defense, he's a defensive guy. And we went out and we got him studs. All right, we're going to move Love there to free safety. So we got 2 hidden devs back there. One of the best young linebackers. Willie Gay's been very productive. The D-line is sick, even though the sacks have just simply not existed. Chase Young is not justified his contract, but then we got an 87 corner, 91 corner, and our defense has been like bottom. So last chance for Dennis Allen to save up his job before we decide to, got to bring in Coach Lou Sassel or something like that. That's been my point of year 4. 4-2, there we go. Dennis Allen coaching for his freaking life. And look at his defense. Overall ranking, not the best. But the pass and, all that stuff is looking good. Everything but our rushing offense looks pretty good. Malik Neighbors having an insane performance. Week 7, player of the week, 10 catches, $122, 4 touchdowns. For a man that's certainly in the conversation for the best young wide receiver in the league. Let's take a look at some contracts here. This is about the time of the rebuild, though. We got to start getting a little stingy. If you're not performing, Carl Granderson, not going to pay you. Even though you're a solid player, can't do it. Won't do it. We got Eric McCoy, looks good. Willie Gay's actually performed pretty good. Jaden Hicks has been awesome. So I want to get Hicks. Let's get him on a 5-year, 48.5. You're on the fence? Oh, you could GFY there, buddy. Brian Breezy. What about you? What are you saying? Your interests are up there. I want you for 5. 5-year, 117. See, no messing around with him. He knows what's up. Malik Neighbors, reason why we didn't pick up the 5th-year option. Because he wanted, $33 million? Not one of those seasons is going to eclipse what he would be playing on if we picked up the 5th. So we got him locked in 6 more seasons. We'll come back to the table with Hicks. Do like McCoy. I think the fact that he's interested, we will throw him that money. Again, we are still operating on the rookie quarterback contract, so we can be a little more frivolous with our money. And we'll come back to the table for Hicks next week. Got him on a 5-year, $50 million deal. And we close out year 4. Nothing. We got Archie Manning, and then it's been 3 years. I guess he did win Rookie of the Year. But for the most part, we've done nothing. We've wasted it. So Dennis Allen is fired. In my opinion, he's a bottom 5 coach in the league. I probably shouldn't have even given him a chance at the beginning. But he's fired. We're cleaning house. The only thing I can say good, one positive, is that we've been able to facilitate Olave and Neighbors in this offense. Everything else has been incredibly... maybe Brian Breezy at D-tackle's eaten as well. But everything else has been so bad. We're cleaning up shop going into year 5. Weirdly enough, our only award winners on the O-line, Cesar Ruiz, who we gave a contract last year, so I guess that's kind of cool. Likely a superstar dev for him. Archie Manning does have his best season as a passer, 3,800 yards, 30 touchdowns, only 9 picks, so we are kind of trending in the right direction. 1-2 punch in the backfield, I suppose. Neighbors crushed it, 1,300 yards, 17 touchdowns. And right on time, saying that we could facilitate both wide receiver ones. Olave falls off just a little bit. Defensively, 300 tacklers, which is not a good thing. Cross had a nice year. Breezy had a nice year. But our pass rush, I'm not looking for TFLs. I need sacks. Our defense is not even getting picks. Love, our rookie. Finally, something good to usher in a new era. We brought on Coach Lou Sassel II, and we are out cleaning house. Scott Anderson, you suck at your job. Turner, you also suck at your job. On the defense, my favorite 4-3 defense right now, I'm glad we got this role, is easily the Buffalo Bills. So welcome, DC Sammy Rios. Offensively, looking for a meta playbook would be nice for the offense. And Cincinnati, maybe the best. Atlanta, not bad. We're not cheating. It's there. and they're never usually there. We are going to hire Bill Duncan, Dallas Cowboy OC. I think much like Malik Neighbors, clearly we want Archie Manning here. That is a gigantic cap number. I think we get ahead of everything and lock him in for the remainder rebuild next season versus paying him almost $50 million for one more year to think about it. Free agency, the big spot that we need to fill is by letting Carl Granderson walk. We need pass rush help. Miles Murphy's the only guy who looks even somewhat interesting. But I don't know, at that cap hit for an unproven pass rusher that might be tapped out. I think we take advantage again of our not great draft position and maybe be aggressive this year and try to find that young pass rusher in the draft. So a quick snapshot of how the draft is lining up. We have 2 top 5 pass rushers. Al Stockton, who looks okay. Roy Foote, another guy, just don't really have the information on him completely. I did scout Nick Avery, another pass rusher in the top 5, who looks solid, but again, none of these guys are like S-tier athletes, so I think where we're sitting, Shepard is kind of in the bubble. We have Enrique Ross at a USC, who also can fit the mold. 6'6", 254, A tackle, A pursuit. Combine sucks though, man. Does have the A power move, but there's not one, fantastic trait that makes me say that guy's even gonna have a dev trait. Then you got Fowler, who's like a 3-4 defensive end, so you're kind of in that. If we want to look to trade up, it is going to be Shepard, and that's pretty much. And I like Shepard too. A little bit bigger, kind of reminds me of Cam Jordan a little bit. A tackle, B power move, C block shed. Finesse is kind of butt cheeks, but you get it's the athlete. I always want to kind of side with the athlete. So I'm thinking if Shepard's still on the board there at pick 10, maybe we call the Eagles and just see if we can get the better athlete. And if it's too expensive, this guy still looks pretty damn good. All right, so to move up, a couple spots here. Again, had to overpay a little bit. First this year, so 13 to move up to 10. So the difference in player, for me, just trusting my gut that you always go with the athlete, especially at pass rush. I give a 4th round pick this year and a 2nd round pick next year. Paid me to do it. I tried getting a 3rd in 2029. Did not move the needle enough to make this trade. So it's definitely going to be one we got to come back and look at. Make sure we made the right call. But I feel push comes to shove, especially when it comes to a pass rusher, you got to go with the athlete. And that's what we get here, Shepard. Doesn't have nearly as good letter grades, but athletically speaking, kind of leaves the other guy in the dust. Look at those stats. 88 acceleration, 83 speed, almost 90 strength. That is insane. Because you never want to play lineman when you get one with an A pass block. Pretty good combine. You always pull the trigger. Just because it's going to be cheaper. And, there's always going to come a time when a guard wants $12 million a year. Easier to let him walk and find a cheap rookie. All right, so looking at our draft, I feel real good. I mean, obviously, the back end is what it is. We just didn't have any premier picks. But Hoskins, 73, hidden dev at guard, gives us some flexibility on the interior. And Dylan Shepard, 75, hidden dev. You gamble on the athletic traits, and that's what you get. But around the division, pretty good draft here from the Panthers. Getting lots of 70s, so kudos to them for handling business there. The Atlanta Falcons also kind of crushed it. 74 safety in the 2nd round, 75 off-ball linebacker in the 3rd. And to bring it all home, the Bucks, I mean, not bad. That's all. They get themselves a new quarterback, Spencer Richmond. Ugh. And Enrique Ross, the man we passed on. Okay, well, we got 1 overall point better. What's the dev trade here? Please be star. Please don't say I gave up a 2nd round pick for... Oh, hey, look at that. Dallas Cowboy OC comes in. Buffalo Bill DC comes in. And Coach Lou Sasso got these guys playing. I mean, our rushing offense is kind of butt cheeks right now, but everything else looking real good. This is a pivotal point in this franchise. And honestly, we got ourselves a little bit of a deal here. Archie Manning, we decided not to go with the 5th-year option. We need him for 5 more years. So this is going to be locking him in for the remainder of the rebuild. 5 years, $183 million. we're going with Arch to the very end. Outside of that, I mean, Ruiz replaceable. Howard Cross, he's looking for almost $10 million a year. I mean, if he takes this deal, we'll keep him. If not, best of luck on the open market. Ratledge, who we kicked outside to tackle. Oof. Does have a pretty good ceiling. I'll say if he takes that offer, sure, hey, we'll take it. Yeah, that'll do. 15. We were 7-10, 8-9, 6-11, 8-9. And then our first year of the great Lou Sasso II, 15-2, winning the NFC South. Number 2 offense in the NFL. Number 1 passing offense. And almost a top 10 defense. And Archie Manning almost wins MVP. He was first in the league in passing yards with 4,600, 31 touchdowns, only 3 picks. A hell of a year. Also chipped almost 400 yards rushing with Merriweather and Mitchell, both a great 1-2 punch. Our only other award winner, Malik Neighbors, won wide receiver of the year. And yeah, he earned it. 1,500 yards, 14 touchdowns. Surprisingly, Tez Johnson gets 1,000, not Olave, which is weird because Neighbors is our slot wide receiver, so that means Olave at our wide receiver. That's weird. Nails with 700 yards, ain't bad. Defensively, Stokes continues to be a tackle machine. Oh, we got sacks now. Isn't that cool? Chase Young, 15 sacks, 16 TFLs, 19 TFLs, 7 sacks for Breezy. Our rookie, Shepard. Maybe not as dynamic as we like. But hey, superstar. We passed and traded up. I thought this was going to age well, but we would have had our choice at 2 superstar pass rushers. Unfortunately, we did pay a second-round pick for this upcoming draft for not a big difference. But hey, not bad. Hopefully his production picks up next season. On the division round after kicking our feet up. Inexperienced team, man. We're going up against a Falcon team that was just in the Super Bowl. This could be a tough one. I knew it. It felt weird. We just one and done. Wow, and against the Falcons nonetheless. Damn. Dak? Oh, did we lose to them? They go on and win the Super Bowl. The cool thing offensively is both Malik Neighbors, who is now 99, and Archie Manning, who we have locked up for the remainder of the rebuild. Both are now superstar X factors on the offensive side of the ball. So going into this offseason, we need a right guard. We need a wide receiver 3, and our wide receiver 3 last year just went off 1,000 yards. So I don't blame him for cashing out. Tez Johnson. We need a D tackle 2, and a linebacker potentially. Even though we have Mathis, has a dev trait, maybe some ceiling there. Linebacker, D tackle on the defensive side of the ball as well. Well, it's not a bad free agency class. Man, Dak is cashing out at the right time. Positions we need are easy-ish to draft. Guard, find that in the draft. D tackle, we can find that in the draft. Wide receiver, a little tricky, but I'm going to say maybe we can find one of those freak 99 speed, 99 agility, 99 acceleration, day 3 guys and plug and play him at slot. So we're on the clock at pick 28 in the 2029 NFL draft. Guard, tackle, and that is D tackle, are the 2 needs that we're looking to try to address here in the first and second round. Looking at guard, we got a couple options. Hoffman looks pretty good, especially if we can get him in the second round. You know, you can always kind of move these pieces around a little bit. Not so much at right guard, so it's a little light in the ass. On the defensive side, you got to look potentially. I mean, Taj Hurd could be a big D tackle, but you don't get the power move or the finesse. And he's not really that much of an athlete. Glenn Wilbon, B block shed, B power move, A tackle, 6'4", 301, elite strength, good speed. You know, for a D tackle, put that in D tackle terms, 4'8", at over 300 pounds. Very interesting. You look at the actual D tackles. So is just your undersized one, and it's one of those ones. Is that finesse move? A little too much unknown. So I think we'll go Wilbon, and hopefully get a guard in the second round. And he's gonna be a guy that hopefully, whatever his rating is, add 1 or 2 when we move from D end to D tackle. And of course, because we traded up from a superstar pass rusher to a superstar pass rusher last season, I do not have a second round pick. So our next pick is third round, 28. And we got to try to blind pick ourselves a lineman. I'm not getting the one with F run block. Man, even Carter doesn't look that good. Damon Worthy might be the best. He's big enough, too. You could believe you could slide him in to one of the guard spots. There's nothing at tackle. At the other guard, just UDFA. So, yeah, I guess that's blind pick. A center. And we get a dev trait. Let's go. Sometimes you fall ass backwards into them. You gotta be good to be lucky. Isn't that what they say? Did not like day 2 at all. No speedy wideouts. I mean, it's one of those drafts. It is what it is. Damon Worthy. Let's see what happens. We got to ship both these players, and I'm optimistic that we will get dev trade increases on the both of them. So Worthy needs to go from center to guard. He goes from 72 to 74. That will work. And Wilbon needs to go from DN to D tackle, where we're going to be very optimistic that he'll make that jump from 74 up to a 76, where he is going to start alongside Brian Brzee, and that is what we get. Hell yeah. Quickly looking at the rest of the division, Panthers, pretty decent. Nothing too crazy, but we'll give them credit where credit's due. 370s. It's kind of the threshold for saying you have a good draft. We'll get the Falcons. I mean, technically they got their 370s, but not the hottest of drafts. And finishing up with the Bucks. Ooh. God damn, that's great value pick. 7th pick, but no dev trait, but still a decent draft. All right, here in year 6, I'm honestly dying for a little dev trait scenario. Something interesting to pop up between week 1 and week 8, but we're on a little bit of a dry spell there. It's fine when we're 6-1. If we were losing, maybe I'd complain a little bit more. Looking at it, we're a top 10 offense-ish, top 10 defense-ish in terms of at least points per game. Sitting atop the NFC South 6-1, looking for back-to-back divisional titles. Atlanta, let's actually sim this one real quick because this is giving you Atlanta's a stronger team than us. They're 91s across the board. They kind of humble us a little bit as they move atop the NFC South. With $71 million of available salary cap, we're going to start Reggie Stokes, absolutely. Even though you don't really want to pay middle linebackers, he's deserved it. He's been stepped right into that Demario Davis role. Merriweather's good value in the backfield. I like the 1-2 punch. But the fact of the matter is Mitchell is our starter long term. And we got to pay but one of them, right? So Mitchell wants about 8 to 9 mil a year. No dev trait. Merriweather wants, bump that up just a little bit. And Merriweather, just like that, is now our starting running back. Got some tough decisions to make here in the secondary. I do feel like Marshawn Lattimore should retire a New Orleans Saints. So we'll give him 1 year, $15.5 million. Chase Young he stepped it up last year as far as his pass rush numbers. He wants a lot of money, and I don't know if he's going to be consistent enough. So I'm thinking maybe we retract that offer and pay a Debo. Well, let's try it again. Year 6, we go 13-4. Very competitive division. Both the Falcons and the Bucks are making the playoffs. We finished with a top 10 offense, almost top 10 defense, and our second straight NFC South title. However, one and done last year. Didn't get a single win in the playoffs. Maybe those ghosts are still haunting us here in year 6, depending on who we match up. It sucked to meet the Falcons again in our first round matchup. We only got one award winner this year, and it's just Archie Manning is the MVP. That's all it is. An insane season from the kid. 4,400 yards, 33 touchdowns, only 1 interception, chipped in an additional 400 on the ground, 3 tuds. Mitchell is last year as our starter as we move towards Merriweather, who somehow, it must just be the double-digit touchdowns that's keeping him in superstar dev. He's going to be the running back of the future. This is where it's weird, man. Just something to note. Neighbors, slot wide receiver, big time numbers again, 1,200 yards, 13 touchdowns. Olave's our wide receiver 2, 9-4. Carmichael's our wide receiver 3, not slot. And he's like a 73. And he eats. Very weird. Very weird. Defensively, Stokes justifies the contract extension, 144. 7 TFLs, 2 picks. We got 12.5 sacks from Chase Young, 9 from Breezy, 4.5 from Shepard, 3 from the rookie Wilbon, 2 from Stokes, 2 from Lattimore. Let's see what Wilbon's dev trait is. And it's a modest star dev. Great. Number 1 offense, number 5. Let's get it over with. Oh, there we go. The MVP wasn't letting us lose again. 4 tuds, Lattimore, 2 picks. Suck it, Falcons. We get the Green Bay Packers standing between us and a Year 6 Super Bowl appearance. I mean, they're not bad. They're not great. Man, oh man, it's definitely looking like we're not going to hit a dynasty unless we start stacking these late. Archie Manning does get Player of the Week. Not a brutal performance, but only 1 touchdown. You're not going to, we don't really need him being that dual threat 67-yard rushing quarterback. Crash and burn again. All right, well, we got 56 mil. There's a side of me that says, we don't need to pay Chase Young. If we have someone else that becomes our DN1, they're going to perform. But he's done enough double-digit sacks every year to justify that contract extension. We have a Debo looking for a 1 year. I mean, we could afford to pay him. Homegrown talent. We'll see. 1 year, 11.5 mil. Get that locked in. Let's go. Handle business. Quick turnaround. Retool. Draft well. And be the best team again year 7. Now, we don't have much salary cap. It's just over $17 million. So, for how I like to build my teams at this point, we'll just, as much as we want to window shop, it's best to roll over that salary cap. Draft well. Gotta draft well. Of course, the year that we need a corner, would like to get one. Lattimore on a 1-year deal, Adebo on a 1-year deal. There's just, maybe this guy, because he is A-man, A-press. So he's an all-out man cover. 6'2", elite jumping. I'm interested. That's day 3. Other needs, wide receiver, because our wide receiver 3 is eating, so we might as well try to get someone with upside. Nothing there. I do think next year we will focus scout wide receivers, because that's where you find, the UDFA gems. We need a linebacker, and that is the only spot we got really good prospects at. We got Maxwell Ramsey, AAA and a B, and the combine is pretty good. 4.61 by today's standards, a little slow. You have Marco Beckett, 3 A's as well with his own coverage. Elite speed. That's where we're going, and fuck me with the normal dev. Let's go! Pardon my French. You know what? I'm spoiled for dev traits more often than not. It doesn't make it any less frustrating, and I'm a dumb person, so I articulate my frustration by cussing. So apologies if you don't like the swearing, but my God, if you're gonna get, what else we got? Do I take another swing? This one got elite speed as well. What about Rick Rossum? Pay the cost to be the Rossum. Let's get that man corner with the A-man, A-press. Tyreek Hall. Come on down. Here we go. And you know what? If you're getting a normal dev, linebacker's not a bad one because he's going to get an ass load of tackles. High chance at a dev trait scenario at some point. And we'll try our attempt here at getting the speed guy. 4.26 Malachi Jones. Still could be a decent rating. No dev. So take a look at our draft recap. Average draft. We got a 72 hidden dev corner kind of saving it. 71 wide receiver, 74 normal dev. I feel like so far, as it relates to at least the NFC South, we've been the best, if not in the conversation for the best draft. This might be the first year, though, that we could see someone else take the crown. No one else is really crushing it. We're all kind of in the error code. Falcons go and get a quarterback, Philip Bingham, normal dev, yikes. But they have a good enough offense, sim-wise. I could see a dev trait scenario hitting. And not a huge draft class. Luckily no one else had a good draft, I guess. Silver lining. Handling business so far in year 7, 6-1. Starting to run away with the South here. 2-game lead over the Falcons and Panthers. And offensively and defensively, we're playing very well. Elite passing, that is. And that's what we need to see. Archie Manning won the MVP last year. And we've seen in Madden, just random things happen where it's just magically our bipolar offense and we suck again. And I like seeing that Archie Manning's turned a corner and it's just like, yeah, I'm going to be the best quarterback in the league now. $69 million available. Debo. Gotta make some tough calls. I think Beckham, a really young corner. Keep him in the building. Don't let him walk. I think Hagen's at tackle. Because we have the money and he's interested, you don't lock him in for the remainder of the rebuild. 3 years. Olave. This is where he gets a little tricky. My plan was to keep Olave and Neighbors the whole time. But Olave's been back-to-back years outproduced by our wide receiver 3. Now, I'm not saying I'm not going to bring him back, but I'm going to say if we make it 3 years in a row, that my wide receiver 3 outproduces. There's just no. It's clearly you just need one wide receiver. You need your dominant guy, and then everyone else can kind of fill in. So wait and see. But if Olave plays well, absolutely we're going to save some of that money, and he's interested, so we should be able to re-sign him. Debo might need to go in a different direction. Same with Lattimore. Eric McCoy's just looking for a 1-year deal. You might as well keep him here as a rental stopgap at center. But maybe that's something to remember for the draft. Maybe BPA ends up being a center and a successor for Eric McCoy. Get that in place. Feels like we're going through the motions a little bit, but we're good now. Another year, third straight NFC South title, 13-4 in a competitive division with the Falcons and Panthers. But this may be the longest we've been in a 10-year rebuild without a Super Bowl win. And technically, therefore, should put us into red alert, terrified territory that we're going to go 10 years without a Super Bowl for the first time, which I actually think was impossible. I didn't think that would happen. And we're not trying. We're going Archie Manning. Our team's very good. We've just been very inconsistent, to say the least, when it comes to the playoffs. Archie Manning, still up there. Didn't repeat as MVP, but just outside the top 5. Also, before we break down our stats, shout out Eric McCoy coming back on a 1-year deal, playing his best football. Lineman of the year, could be a superstar dev. Look at the stats. Arch, second in yards, just outside the top 5 in touchdowns. Hell of a year from him. Merriweather thriving as our RB1. An insane 300 carries, 1,300 yards, and 14 touchdowns for the superstar running back. Neighbors crushed it. 1,600 yards, 15 touchdowns, 1,006 for Carmichael, our wide receiver 3. 1,006 from Olave, which is good. I mean, it's just now the argument would be, do we pay the money to Olave, and then I focus scout wide receiver in the draft? Do we go and try to find just a big-time stud wide receiver that's actually, like, good versus just schematically good like Carmichael is? Because, I mean, no shot at him, but he's still just a 75. No, nothing great about him, but back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. I feel like that's going to happen regardless of who there. So we have someone that has upside. Could be terrifying. Defensively, Stokes continues to be a tackle machine. Lattimore over 100 tackles in what could be his final year as a Saint. 14.5 sacks from Chase Young. I mean, just, you know, I'm happy he's getting sacks. Not so happy that my superstar pass rusher on the other side has done frig all for 2 years. Little bit of a bummer here. Usually the Bills playbook shows a little more love than that. Our interceptions, after last year they were good. This year in the shitter. It's getting old. Why? Why is it always Atlanta? Because they're good. They're the most annoying team to go up against. Yeah, they're a divisional opponent. But they've bounced us again. We're 1-2 against the Falcons. We've played them 3 times. We've made the playoffs. They've been elite every single time. This time they beat us in overtime. 3 years left to try to figure this out. Oh, yeah, that's great. Atlanta just wins their 2nd Super Bowl in 3 seasons. Great. Because we're getting younger in the secondary, it is going to be the end of Lattimore and Debo. 14 picks, Debo, 26, just under 1,000 tackles for Marshawn Lattimore. Outstanding for him. So we locked in Olave on a 2-year deal. Just remainder of the rebuild. Don't have to worry about it. Nails has been solid, but also that's a lot of money for a guy that's, you know, kind of just been a guy. Debo, we were going to let him walk. I think that's somewhat a reasonable contract if he'll take a 1-year, $7.5 million deal, which he does. What is Lattimore looking for? Only 5. I mean, this is still the golden generation here of the secondary for the Saints. Might as well keep him. Gas him up. Let's get Lattimore 1,000 career tackles. However, after all that business, we have no money to spend in free agency. When it comes to wide receivers, we focus scout it, and you know, the gem Got a couple 100%. The gem is Theo Davidson here. Doesn't honestly look anything crazy, but a first, second round talent. On day 3, I feel like we could probably sit and wait for that spot. We need a tight end. Doesn't look like a particularly strong tight end class, but Carson Bridge also looks kind of decent. Sucks that I have him 90% scouted, but the fact that almost all those are going to be an A or a B on top of the great physicals, like I am very close to just drafting him here. But for my money, Bill Starks needs to be the guy. We need corners. We got 2 rentals in Adebo and Lattimore, 3 A's and a B. He's 6'2", athletic, off the charts. We start with Starks. We get the tight end. We get the wide receiver, and we finally have a good draft class. Got a little worried, got a little spooked. Steelers needed a tight end. It's their top need when I went to trade for them. So to move up 17 spots in the second round, I threw a bunch of day 3 picks in, which honestly, day 3 has not been very kind to us. And at this spot, we are going to go grab that tight end. Still somewhat of a blind pick, but those parameters, those physicals for this class, we need a day 1 starter. My guess is like 74, 75 normal, but he's going to get a lot of time. Hey, we get the dev trade. He's going to get a lot of targets in this offense. So, hey, never mind then. Dev trade, we'll take it. Because of that trade, this is now pretty much our final pick of the draft. We're going to go find our gem, Theo Davidson, who the game's saying is good. You look at this. I mean, he's a slot. Not one thing outside of the 20-yard shuttle looks respectable. Got this guy. So, I mean, he's probably going to be your classic high rating, no dev. We get a dev. Okay, Theo Davidson. Welcome to the Saints. All right, well, we got 3 hidden devs. It's been a minute. We made quality picks over quantity picks. Bill Starks, 79, hidden dev. Bridge, 76, hidden dev. And Theo Davidson, day 3 pick. Scouted to be a first, second round talent. Slot wide receiver, 74 with the dev trade. I don't think there's going to be another draft in this division. We crush the Panthers draft. The Falcons, who've been a pain in the ass. They get a lot, a couple 70s inflating it, but for the most part, nothing crazy. And lastly, the Buccaneers. Ooh, okay. They got themselves a nice one here. Josh Wade, 79. Hidden dev corner, 6'4". Like the look of that guy, but still, advantage goes to the Saints for this draft. Year 8, little more adversity. I love seeing the Falcons at the bottom, only 1 win on the year, but we're 4-3, game behind the Bucs, who are getting off to a pretty hot start. But you look at the ranks, kind of expected defense though, slowing up. I mean, they're getting older. We're in a rough period. $16 million a cap. Adebo on a rental, Hoskins replaceable. I mean, that is also not a brutal deal. 82 guard looking for that. But the reality is you got an X factor safety that we can't pay anything and just hope that when we get the influx of cap at the end of the year, it'll be enough to re-sign him. I'll tell you right now, speaking of X factors, Bridge, the second round tight end, superstar X factor. I had no inclination that he was, athletically speaking, he looked good. Letter grades, even though it was a blind pick, looked pretty good. But I've drafted better looking tight ends that don't have this kind of dev trait. What a dub. And we finish out year 8 as NFC South champs, which means nothing. We've been NFC South champs 4 years in a row. And out of those 4 years, the Falcons have won the Super Bowl. So it's almost a curse to win the NFC South. We need to come second or third and then go on a playoff run if the Falcons' success has anything to do with it. But we end up kind of righting the ship offensively, finishing with the #1 offense in the NFL and a pretty dang good defense. And what is shaping up as an iconic class. On top of Bridge, look at our gem Davidson, the slot wide receiver from Michigan. Day 3 pick, also an X Factor. 2 X Factors in one draft. I don't think this is the first time I've done it, but obviously very rare, few and far between, and we need it. This rebuild needs a kick in the ass. We have no Super Bowls, and we're in year 8. Archie Manning finishes 3rd in the MVP voting race, so better than last year. And he's 2nd in yards, 6th in touchdowns. And the interceptions have been very low, which is great. Merriweather with a crazy season. 20 rushing touchdowns, 1,100 yards. Archie Manning doing some damage on the ground. 1 and 2 for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Shout out Bridge, runner-up, Theo Davis. I mean, they're both X Factors, so there's no dev trade increase anywhere, but happy they both performed very well as rookies. Did they ever? Neighbors, 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns, 1,008 for the rookie X Factor Davidson, 9 and 8 for Olave, 6 and 3 for Bridge. All respectable. I mean, you would have loved to see it, after paying Chris Olave what we did, another 1,000-yard season, but I'm not going to be too nitpicky. Stokes with a great year. Sacks are... Well, at least Shepard's getting them, the superstar. Brees has been solid. Chase Young's getting older, so regression was kind of expected. We have Wilbon here, who superstar D tackle. He's playing well. Like, our D line is in a great spot right now. Super Bowl winning, capable defensive line. The interceptions are up a little bit. Love seeing Lattimore. Definitely goes over 1,000 tackles for his career with 100 this season, and another 2 picks to his name. Same with the Debo in likely their final year with the Saints and/or in the league. And we have no money, so they're done. This is going to be their final year. So shout out Lattimore. Finishes his career with 1,073 tackles, 19 TFLs, 1 sack, and 28 picks. And Debo just under 800 tackles, 23 TFLs, 16 picks to his name. First round of the playoffs, we have the 98 Seahawks led by Drake May. They have the #1 rushing offense, a top 10 overall offense, and a top 10 rushing defense in the league. I hate this team. Another overtime loss. That's the second playoff overtime. I hate this team. There's something wrong. There's something rotting this team and giving us the worst karma ever. What it is, I got 2 years to figure it out. And we come to season end, we did not get the extra money that we were expecting. So PJ Love, our X Factor safety, is going to walk. And truth be told, hasn't really played like an X Factor. Incredibly pedestrian numbers. But, yeah. Hate seeing guys like that walk out the door. And you know what? We're getting into a rhythm with the 10-year rebuilds. I would say the positive about the Saints rebuild is we've been able to re-sign an insane amount of talent. Look at the last couple 10-year rebuilds. We've lost multiple superstars, 90-plus players. Hasn't really been the case here. This is really our first big loss, but we don't have a Super Bowl. We had the Super Bowl wins in those other rebuilds. We are still trying to chase the Super Bowl, and it's that much more difficult when you're losing a 96 X Factor on the back end. Love ends up going to the Miami Dolphins, and we have no money, so cool. Here we are. Gonna have to just rely on drafting a couple more X Factors in the draft. No biggie, easy to do. All right, so going to this draft, no big deal. We just gotta find a starting center, a starting guard. Actually, not bad at corner. Starting center, starting guard, and a starting safety. All right. Best bet in the first round is the only... I mean, this guy could be good, but the only safety that we have a zone coverage above a B, and that is Gerald Fitzsimmons, 6'2", at Ohio State. First in the 40-yard dash. Good enough for me. There's our starter. Second round, we got our center, I think. Hopefully he's a good athlete, but he has a pass block, which is usually something I think the combine sucks, though. So I think high rating, no dev. Ooh, or maybe high rating dev. For our starting guard, we got McAllister. A little bit of a blind pick here, as always, but we got elite jumping, change of direction, agility, good enough athlete, and we'll take the dev trade. Appreciate it. That's how you respond, baby. 71 hidden dev, day 1 starter guard. 75 hidden dev, day 1 starter at center. 76, yeah, he's trying to replace an X Factor safety. Day 1 starter. Couldn't sign anyone in free agency. Needed 3 starters. Got 3 upside starters. No one has a better draft than us. I'm not. Nope. No thanks. Don't think so, Panthers. What about those Falcons? It's a pretty good draft. 75 hidden dev. 76 hidden dev. Please be normal. Please be normal. You're already done it. Okay, at least they got one guy to bet. Yeah, all right. Falcons pretty good. Maybe we'll give them the slight edge over us right now. Bucks not a bad draft either, but hey, all teams to the South got better this year in the draft. 6-1, year 9. I mean, I would be if we were not on this kind of track. I'd be losing my mind. There'd be a lot of swear words right now. Oh, nice. We got salary, baby. We also got to pay so many people. $137 million. Okay. Well, let's start with the best of the bunch. Brian Brzee has easily got the, worthy of the first negotiation go down. He has been probably the most consistent player on the defensive side of the ball. Rayledge, we're not replacing a 90 tackle. So, these are guys that we need for the year 10. We're in this window of, like, if we don't figure it out now, we're not winning a Super Bowl. So, we got that locked in. I mean, Olave is a little bit more of a role player now, but might as well let him finish the rebuild out. Let that kind of... Same with Jaden Hicks. He's been great. We'll get him locked in for 2 years. I'm happy that all these guys, for the most part, are interested in staying. We have Worthy, 84 guard. That's kind of expensive, but he wants to stay around, so I have no problem offering him an extension. Wilbon, our superstar D tackle, might need a little kick in the ass here to get on the dotted line, but 3 years, $50 million. He is locked in. And $36 million remaining. We got Dylan Shepard. We're going to offer him a favorable $105 million deal. He stepped up last year as our premier pass rusher, and hopefully he can keep doing that for years 9 this year and year 10 next year. But unfortunately, that means odd man out is Chase Young, old man Chase Young at this point. We're peaking, at least, but this is the second time we've been 15-2 in this rebuild. Last time was way back in year 5, and we lost our first playoff game. So, still, you got to see it to believe it with this team. Archie Manning, runner-up for the MVP, just behind Sam Howell, who's gone on and had himself a nice career with the Patriots. Archie Manning, top 10 in yards, second in the league in passing touchdowns, 4,200 yards, 38 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. Also, a lot of work on the ground with 500 yards and an additional 6 tuds. Solid year from Merriweather, even though his touchdowns kind of fell off a cliff. We had no other award winners, but shout out Malik Neighbors, who's just been awesome. The whole rebuild, 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns. Davidson, 11-11, 8-8 for Olave, 7-8 for Bridge. So all those guys are fired on all cylinders and finding a way to coexist. Stokes with 100 tackles again. That's what he does. Shepard with 12 sacks, 11.5 for Chase Young in his final year with the Saints. Our 2 D tackles were okay, maybe slightly underperforming. Love seeing Jaden Hicks have his best return as far as interceptions with 3, even though the rest of the team, a little bit of a down year. Let's see, Bill Starks here, our hidden dev, first-round pick. You can't get X Factors all the time. That ain't bad. He's still a hell of a player. First round of the playoffs. For us, we got X Factor Carson Beck and the 9-8 Rams, who are, there's no way we lose this game. Look at those rankings. It ended up being a little closer than the rankings suggest, but we win. We're not 1 game, 1 loss like we have been. 24-17 with a player of the week performance from our linebacker Stokes, setting up a matchup against the Panthers with the Super Bowl on the line. And we've paid our dues. We've been beat up on enough in the playoffs from our own division. At least when the Falcons played us, they were worthy. Panthers, pretty decent. I mean, they're almost a 90 overall team. Top 10 offense. Defense is solid. Should be a tough game. Come on. Let's go. Another close win. 27-20, and it took 9 years. But we're finally in the playoffs. Let's go, Archie Manning. Merriweather, the running back. 4 total touchdowns. What a game. Carrying the load, and I assume we're going to be meeting the Houston Texans in the Super Bowl. Oh, psych. I guess somehow, someway, the Jets didn't have offensive or defensive player of the week in the AFC Championship game, but they still won, which makes me a little scared. They have a top 5 offense, top 10 defense. Looks like it is coming down to the 2 best teams in the league right now. Come on, Arch. You're Arch freaking Manning. It's literally in your DNA to be a quarterback that could go on and win a Super Bowl. Now, obviously Eli was Eli, and Peyton had his demons to finally get his Super Bowl. And his career's fallen similar to Peyton's. He's won an MVP. He's been a great regular season quarterback. But when it comes to the playoffs, he hasn't been that great. But we got a great opportunity here against the Jets. We strike first, going up 7-0. Our defense holds them to a field goal. We go and score another touchdown. Oh, my God, a 2-touchdown lead going into halftime. Don't collapse. Please don't collapse. We get a field goal. That's all they've been doing. I think we need to come in next time. We're kind of stalling out here a little bit. 3rd and inches. Let's go. This is what I want to see. Do we just hand this off with Merriweather? No, I got to try to throw. If you're giving me a slant play with Arch Manning to Malik Neighbors, even though we got some question marks over these guys' head. Oh my God, we go to the other guy. We get smashed, but Davidson, the X Factor, makes the grab. Tough throw by Arch Manning. Got absolutely lit up on that play. But that should be the dagger for the New Orleans Saints to finally get another Super Bowl win all-time historically, but the first in this rebuild. And thank God. I did not, at no point, I want to be able to rebuild I should be able to rebuild every team twice. 64 rebuilds. If I'm doing 10 years to win a Super Bowl. Got very close. Took us to year 9. Hey, why not, like a fine wine. Why not just win back-to-back, year 9, year 10, get 2 Super Bowls, your 2 comfortable Super Bowls for Archie Manning, much like Peyton, and then just ride off into the sunset. So let's celebrate this. Let's see the old trophy ceremony. And Archie deserves it, man. He's been MVP, year 6, won the MVP. Arguably, for the last 4 years, we've been the best regular season team in the playoffs. Archie's always kind of been floating around that top 5, top 3 MVP, and he finally gets his Super Bowl. Congratulations to a guy that I'm sure is, I don't know. It's weird. It's going to be weird when Arch goes to the league if there's going to be a lot of people just hate him for like a sense of nepotism or not. But, hey, give him the MVP on top of it for the Super Bowl. You know what? I'll show respect to Chase Young. I'll give him a 1-year. Right there. Right back at you too, buddy. Coming to this final offseason. To repeat, we need a DN. We need Chase Young's replacement. Other than that, we need a linebacker. We run primarily nickel. So, let's go all in. 1 DN, be at the draft, free agency, and run it back. And we went out and got a guy, Nick Scarton, who was, I think, Georgia Tech, transferred to A&M, 82 pass rusher. Welcome to the squad. And that really leaves us here at pick 32, which is going to be our bet. I guess, if we're in base, we need another linebacker. So let's try to find the best linebacker at 32 using the tricks of the trade. Not gonna lie, not seeing much here. Jerry Wiggins. Let's see. Jerry Wiggins. A tackle, B pursuit. Don't know his coverage as elite speed. But he's elite speed for an edge rusher, not an inside linebacker. 4.58 ain't brutal. We got to have something better here. Darius Smiley. That sounds good. I'm going to go with the best athlete. Give me someone with elite speed. That's who we'll go with. Victor Henry. Nope. Whitfield. Nope. McCarthy. Nope. Kawhi Rich. Badass name. Not fast. Was Whitfield the fastest? I think he had the fastest 40. All right, cool. We'll go with you. All right, whatever. Linebacker drafting. I will say right now, just because nonchalantly, it's the last draft. It is what it is. I suck at drafting linebackers. Like off-ball linebackers do not have a very high hit rate for them. The base rating's solid. 74 normal. We got Kelvin Powell, great value, wide receiver in the second round out of Oregon, slot. Kind of just went off the fact that he had really good three-cone shuttle. But final draft, it's tough to find impact playmakers. And usually, if the rebuild's gone well, the final draft means nothing because you're... All right, here we go. From year 1 to year 10, here is our final super squad. Feel pretty good about it, man. Did not think, I bet you right now, no one thought Chris Olave would be progressed down to a normal depth. But luckily, we've been able with Malik Neighbors, X Factors, same draft class, all time. O-line is solid, it's together. It's elite, 290-plus tackles. Love that. Ratledge is showing his versatility, was a guard, kicked out the tackle, has thrived. And the man that we are here for this rebuild, is now the perfect quarterback. Can't spend any more rating. Very similar to what we achieved with Shedeur Sanders with the Cleveland Browns. A perfect QB. Look at those 99s. Good God. Archie Manning. Let's get that second Super Bowl. You got to get that second one. Got to prove that first one wasn't a fluke. Look at the defense. Brzee made the full rebuild, which I love seeing. So did Jaden Hicks. Part of our first class. Everyone else. We've done a good job. I think we've drafted well. Our defense has played solid enough. Especially after we fired that piece of crap waste of space, Dennis Allen. And this is a team, especially with the star talent we have on offense, here in year 10, should be able to repeat as Super Bowl champions. All right, baby. I'm going to say, I don't know, probably another 13, 14 wins, somewhere in that range. Alrighty then. Now 93 offense, 91 defense, 91 overall. X factors, no weaknesses, complete team. As long as we're running nickel on defense, which is what we do. If it wasn't for last year, this was going to be the worst rebuild of all time. 10 years, no Super. We got one. That's still bad enough. Like, this is still an L. This is an L of a rebuild. Arch played well. He's played his ass off, man. Good. Did he win MVP this year? Freaking close. Top 3 again. Look at the career stats. The only way we kind of feel good about this, Archie Manning finishes his career just under 39,000 yards passing, 279 tuds, 57 picks. He's been great. MVP discussion, got his Super Bowl, but, you know, did he underachieve? It's kind of like the Aaron Rodgers narrative. Like, clearly, one of the best quarterbacks of their generation, all-time tight quarterback, only one Super Bowl. And I feel like maybe that's the comp for Archie Manning. It's not Peyton Manning. It's Aaron Rodgers. Merriweather was our starter. I mean, hell of a job for him. 5,600 yards, 95 rushing touchdowns. Crushed it. Arch was pretty decent for a dual threat, all things considered. Our goal was 100 touchdowns between Arch Manning and Malik Neighbors, and we hit it. 13,000 yards for Malik Neighbors, 122 touchdowns. Outstanding. 12,000 yards, 64 tuds for Olave, Davidson, and Bridge. I mean, sky's the limit for those guys. Just beginning to scratch the surface on their career. Defensively, Stokes, love homegrown talent, over 1,000 tackles for him, 55 TFLs, 5.5 sacks, 12 picks. We got 57 sacks, 165 TFLs on just under 600 tackles for Brian Brzee, 37.5 for Shepard, who was a superstar for most of the time and underperformed. I will say for this rebuild, struggled to get consistent pass rush. Even when we've made the change to the Bills, didn't get a great role for the Bills playbook. Interception numbers were never really that great. Jaden Hicks, 13 in his career. But, man. Aaron Rodgers, that's what it is. Underachieved. Even though MVP, checkmark, Super Bowl, checkmark, Super Bowl MVP, checkmark. With the talent that we had, with the meta playbooks we rolled, we got the Cowboys offense and Bills defense. This team underperformed. Well, this is our final 10-year rebuild before the 2024 NFL draft. Obviously, once the draft has concluded, or at least once the first round, we start seeing where some of these big names go, the big name quarterbacks. We're going to just open the floodgates up of primarily just done teams without first-round picks so far. We did the Bears because clearly they're getting Caleb Williams. I just wanted to do this one because Arch Manning. That's not to say that the Saints do something cool on draft day that makes us want to run it back for another 10-year rebuild. Just wanted to kind of do something before the draft, and it felt like a great time. So before that, we wrap this one up. I plan on an Eagles and an NFL mock draft out tomorrow. And then we're streaming the draft. First round here on YouTube. Come hang out. Come chill. But that'll do it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. As always, your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. Very much appreciate it. And I'll see you back here. Draft season, baby. Let's go. Peace out.